Yo, what is happening, beautiful ladies and gentlemen? Today we are going to talk about something that I have changed in order to start making more sales. And let me just show you some receipts on that. So this was the first month that we did. As you can see in revenue, it was 58.4K. Okay, so not great when you're doing a 100K challenge. And then this is the revenue we've done this month, and this is when we started doing one call closes. I was kind of nervous about it because I'd always done the two call close, and we are at 99,200. Just so you can see the deals that I've closed, 24 out of 42 is a 57% close rate. Okay, so that's what we're currently working with right now. And just to give you guys an idea of what that might look like in a graph format of what we're doing in this account, Matt just did a post about this. There we go. Bang. This right here is when we took over the account. So as you can see, this account's done very well in the past, but they went through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship and not having like solid people that they can rely on, and it went up and down, and the market's changed, and there's a lot more fear going on in people's minds, and we took over the account here. Took a little while to figure out exactly how to speak to this niche and understand, and then boom, we're like skyrocketing to the moon now. So today I want to talk to you about what I like to call the sweet spot. And this essentially means that somebody, a prospect, has to be in the sweet spot in order to buy. So let me explain. Number one, there is a spectrum. Okay, there's a spectrum of arrogant and hopeless. And we are all on this spectrum somewhere. And we move around. Some days we might feel arrogant. Some days we might feel hopeless. Some days we might be somewhere in the middle. But it's type A people and type B people. So let's take a look at this. I was so used to selling to type A people, right? And you cannot sell to them the same way. You just can't. And it'll differ based on niches. If you're selling to successful entrepreneurs, now just because you're selling to entrepreneurs doesn't mean that they're all type A people. I've sold to entrepreneurs that are feeling very hopeless in their lives. It just depends, and you kind of just need to get a feel for it. But this is just as a basis, this is what it looks like. So type A people are normally like successful entrepreneurs. They value growth and challenge. These hopeless people tend to be in the 9 to 5 niche. Nothing wrong with 9 to 5ers. There's plenty of 9 to 5ers who are arrogant. Don't worry. But normally 9 to 5ers tend to be more on this side of the spectrum. They really value security. So on one side, you've got someone who values growth and challenge, and then on the other side, you've got someone who values security. You're obviously going to have to sell to them in different ways, right? You just have to. On the type A side, they're motivated by solving problems. They really love challenge, but they're there to solve a problem, and normally they are problem aware. Then you've got the type B people, and they're motivated by survival. They want to survive, and they are somebody who values security. So obviously, these people are so different. And the worst part is, neither of these people are going to buy. What? What do you mean? Let me explain. If they are so far on the spectrum that they think that they are pretty much just perfect by themselves, they're just God's gift to mankind, they will not buy. Because why would they buy? They're already perfect. They don't have any problems, and they're just getting on the call to flex. And like literally some people do that. They lie to themselves so heavily. We can go deep into the psychology side of things, but they're lying to themselves that they don't have a problem. What they don't realize is they do have a problem, and that is why they're on the call. But they are wearing a mask and making themselves feel better by having this arrogant front. So we need to connect with them and help them come down a few notches, just a few, so that they are in the sweet spot. Because this is where people buy. This is where the money is made. All of it is in the sweet spot. So then you've got people who are more on the B side of the spectrum. 9 to 5ers value security, motivated by survival. They want to be handheld. They value one-on-one help. Why? Because they don't think that they can do it. And they're not going to buy either. And the reason why they're not going to buy is because they don't even believe that with all the help in the world that they are going to be able to succeed. And why in the world would they spend money or invest money in something if it's not going to get them an ROI? So arrogant people, they think that they will win no matter what. Hopeless people think they will lose no matter what. And that is why these people will never buy. So we need to bring them into the sweet spot. And that's a really fun process to do. So it's actually quite simple, but it's one of those things where if you don't know what's going on, then you can't do it. So first of all, identify who am I speaking to? And it's pretty obvious just by body language, the way that they're speaking, how much they're opening up, if they sound like they've got a lot of problems, if they recognize them. We've got to know who we're speaking to. So identify first, who are you speaking to? And then if you realize you're speaking to someone on the more of the arrogant side, then we need to ask them questions that create a gap. So ask them questions that allow them to conclude that they need help. Now, why are we doing this? Because people will almost always resist what they're told, but they will never doubt what they conclude themselves. That's so important. So regardless of who we're talking to, we can't tell them, hey, you can do this, or hey, you need help. You're going to get resistance either way. So we need to ask them questions that help them to conclude whatever they need to in order to get into the sweet spot. So let's give an example. Somebody's hopeless, right? Let's say you're selling what we've been selling. That's a great example. So we're selling a BizOp, which essentially is a recruitment agency, and people are making so much money. It's incredible. However, people are in this headspace of, I don't think I can do it. Okay, so if we're pitching them and we're focusing on solving problems or growth and challenge, and showing how, well, we just give you the blueprint, all you need to do is execute, that is not going to work. So I need to pitch to them in a way where I'm showing that I understand that they value security, that this is going to give them a way to survive the recession, that's going to, I want to be talking about how this is a recession-proof model, which it is, and I want to be listing things in line with their values. I'm also going to highlight the fact that they're going to have all the support in the world. They're going to be able to email. There are the one-on-one calls through the customer success manager. They also have the group calls, and I'm going to phrase it and frame it as a one-on-one experience in a group setting, because that is what they value. They need to feel, they need to conclude that they can do it with help, right? Allow them to conclude they can do it with help. So how can you do that? It's through the pitching. That's super important because your pitch can never be the same. And that's why we have to customize the pitch. So I want to be doing all the things I mentioned in the pitch, but then I need to ask a concluding question. And I can't just say, see, John, you've got all the support in the world. You're going to be just fine. No, I'm going to have to come from a place of, well, John, I guess the most important thing here is that you feel that you have enough support so that you can get an ROI. Because if you don't believe you can get an ROI from this, then I strongly recommend not doing it. So with everything that I've mentioned, with X, Y, Z, coaches, one-on-ones, group help, the modules, do you feel that there's enough support there for you to be able to achieve X, Y, Z, whatever they said they want to achieve? And they're going to sit there and they're going to think about it. And they'll either conclude yes or no. So it's so important that you pitch to their what's in line with their values. And 9 times out of 10, if you do this properly, they're going to conclude, oh, yeah, it would be difficult, but with the right amount of support, since I've seen so many testimonials of people who are similar to me, and Danny made it so clear that I was going to have enough support, and there's like, it's basically one-on-one in a group setting, and they've got modules, and it's so specific and comprehensive. I believe that if I get into this, I can do it. And that's all we really want. And then on the other side, if they're arrogant and they feel that they don't need any help, well, then we need to ask them questions that create a gap in their minds. And this comes down to the closing cure to cancer. This is an exercise. I believe it's in the guides already. I apologize, I don't know exactly what guide it is. But you can look at the guide, look for the closing cure to cancer, and essentially we're going to get a list of questions that's going to allow them to conclude that they need help. But what we've been focusing on this niche is helping them to believe that they can, because this is normally where they are. They're normally in this hopeless category. So just remember that people need to be in the sweet spot, and they are motivated by different things. So make sure you can identify who you're speaking to, identify what they need to hear and what they value. Once you know what they value, then you know how to pitch them. You can't pitch both of these people in the same way. It will not work. You need to pitch them in line with what they value. And then we need to ask them a question that will allow them to conclude that they either can do it with help or that they actually need our help, depending on what side of the spectrum they're on. Hopefully that helps, guys. This has been a game changer for me. Once again, it always comes back to people will almost always resist what they're told, but they never doubt what they conclude themselves. So be really careful with the questions that you're asking, and you're not creating resistance, but allowing someone to conclude that they are in the sweet spot and that they need or are able to succeed with your product or service. Lots of love. Keep selling, keep being ethical, and keep being sexy.